In this video, I'm gonna be ranking every single flank champion from best to worst. Now, of course, before I start, I just want to say that this is only my opinion. I did do a lot of research on this video. I researched hard the top picks for pro players in the higher elo, of course, and this is also based from my experience. So I think I have a really good understanding where the champions are in this list. And we're gonna start with Androxus. Androxus, I think he's A tier. This guy is definitely very strong in the right hands. If you know how to play this guy, he's gonna pop off. But of course, that kind of depends, because if you're just an average, maybe even a bad Androxus player, he's not gonna be that good, obviously. But if you're like an Androxus one trick or something, oh my god, you're gonna be so annoying. You can basically 1v5 the entire team if you're really good. So he's definitely a very solid pick. He is a little bit harder to play, at least in my opinion. I mean, you can maybe argue against that, like you'll say, he's not actually that hard to play, but in my opinion, if you really want to play his full potential, so although he can be easy to play, he's definitely hard to master. Buck, I think it's kind of situational, but I do want to put him in good at least. You cannot play Buck in every single situation though, kind of like Androxus. Androxus you can play in any map possible, or even in any team comp. With Buck, it kinda depends. If you don't have an off tank, for example, playing Buck is a little bit more harder to play, because every time you flank, they're just gonna target you, and I feel like there has to be a good off tank to kind of help you out. For example, Torvald Buck, like just imagine how good that is. Or maybe pocket support Genos and Buck, then he's also gonna be really good. So it kind of just depends. So if you don't have those things that I just said, he's kind of falling off a little bit, because his playstyle is you literally need to jump forward, try and kill them really quick, and if you don't, you die. So you need to be good with him, and I feel like you have to have a pocket with him to actually make him really good. Caspian, I'm kind of tempted to put him in okay, but I feel like you can kind of make him work. Don't get me wrong, I feel like I don't really see a lot of Caspian players in the higher elo. In the higher elo, there's definitely better flankers out there. You could be a bronze, a gold player, maybe even platinum. You can definitely make Caspian work. The higher elo you go though, he's definitely gonna fall off. It's the same thing with Buck. And the thing that I don't really like about Caspian is that I feel like he's more of a damage champion. His damage is actually so strong, especially his ultimate. You can easily combo someone and they just die instantly. But the problem with Caspian is that he is very squishy. I mean, as soon as you hear him flanking behind you, he can just die so quick. This is why he kind of falls off in the higher elo, because as soon as they see you behind, you just die. His mobility is not very good as well, so you cannot escape at anything. For example, Vatu can escape really easily, Evie, Vora, they can all escape really easily in a bad situation. With Caspian, he cannot. That's why Buck and Caspian are in this list, because as soon as they see you and you're in trouble, it's kinda looking bad for you. But Caspian do a lot of damage, he's just very squishy. Evie, I definitely think Evie is really strong, so I'll put her in A tier. She's literally the same team with Androxus. If you're bad with Evie or average, it's just like B tier, like she's good, but if you're like a one trick Evie, you can definitely make her in S tier. She can be very annoying, and I feel like all of her talents can also be very viable. Obviously, Snow Globe is her best talent, and Evie is also really good in any rank possible. Maybe not in the lower elo, because they might not know how to properly play Evie, but if you're higher elo, maybe platinum, maybe even master or higher, she has one of the best mobility, if not the best mobility. Her damage is pretty good. Her ult is very annoying. She's basically like a fly, you know, like you're trying to kill this fly, but you cannot. She's just a very annoying flanker if they know what they're doing. Kasumi, now we are so used to putting Kasumi like at the bottom tier. She's like the worst of the worst, but ever since they changed her, she's actually quite viable now. Now I'm also kind of a little bit surprised on this actually, because I didn't think this buff is gonna change her that much, but based from the pro players that I've seen, they said that Kasumi is actually a lot more viable nowadays. Her damage is pretty good now, especially in the lower elo. She will shine in the lower elo because she just do so much damage, and by the time you look behind you, you're already dead. Of course, in the higher elo you go, she falls off a little bit. That's why she's only in B tier, she's only in good. But back then, you cannot even play her in the higher elo. Nowadays, apparently you can. Koga, unfortunately, he's just really good, always. Now let me get this straight though. If you're a PC player, Koga is not actually that good. I would say he's like high B B tier even, or low A tier if you're a PC player. The reason why Koga is S tier is because of aim assist. If you're playing on a controller, you are basically unstoppable. Aim assist on Paladins is just kind of broken, I'll be honest. So if you're playing Koga or maybe even Talus, they're like really strong. He just deals a lot of damage, and in the higher elo he's just so viable if you're console. I'm talking about if you have a controller, but of course for PC players he's only good in the lower elo. The higher elo you go, if you're on PC, he's not that good. Lex, I really do not like Lex. Like I would personally put him here, but I don't want to be biased, so I'll put him in good. He can be good in some situations, I guess. Like his damage is pretty good, I guess. So, as much as I don't like Lex because of how boring to play he is, based on my research he can be viable. I don't really think he's a good flanker though. I would say he's like, out of all of these flankers, I think he's the most damaged champion ever. His escape is not really an escape, he just has a slide. The only reason why they kind of classified him as a flank is because you cannot really play him like a long range. You have to actually get close to them. So I don't know, he's more of a damage from me, and I don't really like his playstyle. Maeve, I'm gonna put her, she's either high tier over here or low A tier. I'll put her here for now. I feel like Maeve can be viable in any ranks possible as well. If you could be in bronze to grandmaster. Okay, maybe not so much in the lower elo because I forgot they changed Street Justice. It's not actually that good anymore. So, but the higher elo you go, if you run Cat Burglar, it's actually doing a lot of damage, and if your aim is really good, you can kill them really quick. But the thing is with Maeve, she really only has one viable talent, which is Cat Burglar. You can kinda make Rogue's Gambit work if you're really good with Maeve, but based from my experience and based from the pro players, they're only running Cat Burglar most of the time. And if your aim is really good, you can definitely carry with Maeve. If not, if your aim is like, you know, average, maybe stay away from Maeve, because she's all about aiming in my opinion, because all you do is dashing around, resetting your abilities, and then aiming. Skye, I really don't think Skye is very good. I'm gonna have to put her the first situational champion in here. Don't get me wrong, if you're playing console, she kinda can be good, and you might say like, oh my god, Kirbs, you're a hypocrite. Why did you put Koga so high for a controller and you put Skye C tier for a controller? I really do not think Skye is worth it to play. First of all, she's only very viable if you're using the Smoke and Dagger talent, and let's be honest, if you're lower elo, you do not use that talent. Skye is only good in the higher elo if you're playing controller and if you're playing with your off tank, and you guys might not even know what I'm talking about. In the higher elo, if you want to play Skye, you're kind of playing as a support. For example, you go with your Khan, with your Azan, you go Smoke and Dagger talent, and you go flank with your off tank. That is how they play Skye in the higher elo. But if you're not doing that, she's not that good. If you're not playing on a controller, if you're not using Smoke and Dagger with your off tank, she's not that good. I really think she's only viable to like bronze to gold, maybe even platinum. But if you're just playing for fun, who's gonna tell you to not play Skye? I mean, go play Skye, bro. Talus, I actually think Talus is very underrated. I recently played him. I really want to put him in A tier. I really think he's very underrated, but I'll put him in B tier, like a really high B tier. Especially if you're playing controller, I feel like this guy is like secretly OP. You're so annoying to kill because every time you flank behind, as soon as you're about to die, you can just go back to your teleport. So it's so hard to kill you. On PC, he might struggle a little bit, but if you're playing on a controller, he will shine because of the aim assist. If you're on a controller, he can definitely be higher than B tier. He could be like high A tier even, but if you're playing on PC, he's like around B tier. And surprisingly enough, he actually do a lot of damage for some reason. I didn't expect him to do a lot of damage, and he can be very, very annoying. 7. I really don't think 7 is that viable. I want to put him at least B tier, but I really don't think he's that good, unfortunately. Now, this is a hot take. I really don't think 7 is that good, even though he got a lot of good changes in the recent updates. So you might hate me on this one, but I really think there's just so many better flankers out there. You can play Androxus, Evie, Koga, even Talus. Like, there's just so many better ones. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're a really good 7 player, if you really know how to use him, he's not in C tier for sure. He can definitely be a lot higher than this, but based from the overall players, they're not that good with 7, and every time I see a 7, they're just feeding. Like, I'm not even kidding. And the higher elo you go, the higher he falls off. He's only playable if you know what you're doing with 7. So yeah, maybe a hot take, maybe you might think he's actually B tier. that's completely fine. But I think his dog poo poo. He's only good if you know what you're doing. Here comes the big boys. Vatu, definitely ahead of Koga. Definitely S tier. The reason why I think Vatu is ahead of Koga is because Koga is only good in controller. That's basically it. With Vatu, he's just overall really good. And the higher elo you go, the better he is. If you see a pro player, like a grandmaster player playing Vatu, you're basically fucked, by the way. It's game over for you. It's gonna be very hard to kill him. All he has to do is go to you really quick, kill you really quick, and then run away really quick. It's gonna be very difficult to catch Vatu. I feel like you need to have a lot of counter picks to play against Vatu. I don't know, you need like a Torvald to silence him, maybe a Khan, maybe a BK to stun him, a Maldamba to stun him. Like you need a lot of disables, like a lot of CC to actually kill him. But I will say though, he's not very good if you don't know what you're doing, and the lower elo you go, he's definitely one of the hardest flankers to play out there. So he's hard to play, but if you know how to play him, you're basically carrying the game. Vora, this might be a hot take, I'll be honest, but I really think Vora is one of the most broken flankers out there currently. I made a video about Vora explaining why she's so strong right now, so if you wanna watch that, feel free to watch it. But basically in that video, I'm saying she has a lot of DR. It's very hard to kill her because she has a lot of damage reduction, she has a really good mobility, she has a good damage. Ever since they made that change for Vora recently, she just skyrocketed. And I'm not the only one who thinks Vora is actually really strong. Based from pro players, they also think Vora is one of the best flankers right now. So you have two choices in the higher elo. You either play Vatu or Vora. The thing is with her is that she's not even that hard to play as well. She's not like Vatu. She can be a little difficult to play for sure, but you don't need to like put a lot of time on Vora to actually make her really good. So yeah, I think she's viable in any map, in any rank possible. And the last flank is Zhin. I want to put him in A tier because I feel like you cannot really go wrong with Zhin. I feel like you cannot go wrong with Zhin. He's just overall a really solid pick. Now I'm gonna be honest though, I don't really see him a lot in the higher elo, and based from pro players, obviously there's a lot of better flankers out there. I mean, you have Vatu, Koga in controller, Vora, Evie, but overall she's like, you can play him in bronze to grandmaster and it's fine. And the thing is, he's also very straightforward. You don't need to put a lot of time on him, so this might be a hot take, putting him in A tier. You cannot go wrong with him. I feel like you cannot play bad as Zhin. So guys, do you guys agree with my tier list over here? Comment down below if you guys agree with me or not. I will say though, I have a lot of hot takes on this video, like especially Zhin and 7 and maybe even Skye. So do not take this personally. This is just my opinion and my tier list. So don't get butthurt in the comments saying, oh, why did you put my main so low? Okay guys, listen, it's my tier list, okay? But I did do a lot of research on this video. I researched who are the best flankers based from pro players, and this is also based from my experience. Well, that's it for today guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. See you everybody.